Hello and a very good morning. You're watching the Breakfast News on Rajya Sabha television with me, Frank Pereira. Here are the headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to launch startup movement today will unveil action plan to boost entrepreneurship at grassroots level. NIA to move court to subject Punjab Police SP Salwinder Singh to polygraph. Government resolves to strengthen steps to prevent and detect incidents like Pathankot attacks. Al-Qaeda gunmen attack hotel used by Westerners in Burkina Faso's capital Ouagadougou. At least 20 people killed, many taken hostage. French clinical trial on experimental drug goes horribly wrong. One person brain dead, 5 others hospitalized. Drug administered to 90 people. And volatile weekends for world markets. BSE Sensex hits fresh 19-month low. US markets sink to lowest level since October 2014. Oil prices touch below $30 per barrel. Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will launch the startup movement today to unveil the action plan that's intended to boost entrepreneurship at the grassroots level. The launch will celebrate the spirit of entrepreneurship among the youth, CEOs and founders of top startups from across the country and abroad having been invited for the event. The program will also promote bank financing for startups and offer incentives to boost job creation and entrepreneurship. The Prime Minister will release the Startup Action Plan and visit a virtual exhibition. He will also interact with entrepreneurs. The event will be telecast live in IITs, IIMs and IITs and central universities and to youth groups in over 350 districts. Prime Minister Modi had announced the campaign in his last Independence Day address. Now the news now, the National Investigation Agency is expected to seek court orders today to subject Punjab Police SP Salwinder Singh to a polygraph test next week. Singh was questioned for the 5th day in a row on Friday. NIA officials claimed he was repeatedly changing his version. Meanwhile, Home Minister Rajnath Singh and Defence Minister Manohar Parrikar met top officers on the Pathankot airbase attack. National Security Advisor Ajit Doval, Union Home Secretary Rajiv Mehrishi and Defence Secretary G. Mohan Kumar were also present. The meeting discussed steps to strengthen prevention and detection of such attacks in the future. A key issue was upgrading intelligence and technology to foil terror attacks. The meeting agreed on a security audit for all vulnerable stations of the armed forces, paramilitary forces and the police. Well, the government on Friday hiked the excise duty on petrol and diesel. Excise on petrol was hiked by 0.75 rupees per litre and on diesel by 2 rupees per litre. It was the second hike in excise duty in less than 2 weeks as the government looked to make use of the 12-year slump in international oil prices. The government is aiming to mop up over 3,700 crore rupees in additional revenue. Oil marketing companies also slashed retail prices of petrol by 32 paise per litre and cut diesel prices by 85 paise per litre to align domestic rates with the ongoing international price slump. Well, Indian and US markets ended the week on a gloomy note yesterday. The falling stock prices have triggered concerns that the markets are signalling a slowdown in the world economy. Here's more.
Benchmark BSE Sensex plunged 317.93 points on Friday to hit a fresh 19-month low. It capped yet another gloomy week, losing 479.29 points or 1.92%, just a shade better than the previous week's performance of 4.68%. The rupee also hit a 29-month low of 67.70 rupee against the dollar. In the United States, a similar story played out on Wall Street on Friday, with the S&P 500 sinking to its lowest level since October 2014 as oil prices sank below $30 per barrel.
Well, right now I would characterize the market as vulnerable to a bear market because of uncertainty surrounding the possibility that the U.S. and the rest of the world will be falling once again into recession.
The day's trading volume was unusually high and more than a fifth of S&P 500 stocks touched 52 weeks low. The energy sector dropped 2.87% as oil prices fell 6.5%, in part due to fears of slow economic growth in China. The energy sector has lost nearly half of its value after hitting record highs in late 2014. The technology sector was the day's biggest loser, sliding 3.5% as weak quarterly results from chipmaker Intel weighed heavily on chip stocks. But the drop is not still being seen as the start of a bear market.
Well, I think that we're headed for a very challenging 2016. I think that possibly the 12.4% decline that we experienced in this correction through August 25th is not going to be the ultimate bottom, but I don't think that we're headed for a bear market.
China's major stock indexes shed over 3%, raising questions about Beijing's ability to halt a sell-off that has now reached 18% since the beginning of the year.
Every correction has its own personality. This one is PE compression. We were so optimistic last year that nothing could go wrong anywhere, that we let the market get a little extended on a historical basis in terms of price earnings multiples. I don't see catastrophe in earnings. I don't see catastrophe in cash flows. The balance sheets of American companies are actually very, very healthy.
US economic data on Friday was not very encouraging either, with an unexpected drop in retail sales and industrial output declining again in December, underscoring a worsening outlook for fourth quarter economic growth. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, it's time for a short break now, but news and updates will continue on the other side. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
नमस्कार, मैं हूं राजेश बादल।
नया कलेवर, नया अंदाज,
राज्यसभा टेलीविजन के खास प्रोग्राम विरासत में आपका स्वागत है।
नए रूप में विरासत का आगाज। देखिए हर बार नया किरदार। उनकी नजर उनका शहर के बाद विरासत का इंद्रधनुषी संसार सिर्फ राज्यसभा टीवी पर।
যদি তোর ডাক শুনে কেউ না আসে
তবে একলা চলো রে, যদি তোর ডাক শুনে কেউ না আসে তবে একলা চলো রে,
একলা চলো একলা চলো একলা चलो
विरासत में इस बार गुरुदेव रविंद्रनाथ ठाकुर का रचना संसार हिंदी में पहली बार सिर्फ राज्यसभा टेलीविजन पर।
Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha Television. Well, Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi targeted Prime Minister Narendra Modi at a rally of party workers in North Mumbai yesterday. Rahul claimed that he was surprised at how quickly the credibility of the Modi government had eroded. The Congress Vice President also warned party workers against acts of indiscipline while exhorting them to put up a united face to take on Maharashtra's ruling Shiv Sena BJP alliance in the next year's elections to the municipal corporation.
स्टार्टअप्स की बात होती है, कनेक्ट इंडिया की बात होती है, एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप की बात होती है, और ये सब बातें सही हैं, अच्छी हैं। मगर हिंदुस्तान में गरीब जनता भी है, मजदूर हैं, छोटे छोटे बिजनेस चलाने वाले लोग हैं। ये हिंदुस्तान उनका भी है, और दुख इस बात का है कि सरकार उन लोगों को भूल गई।
Moving on, now Manpreet Badal, the estranged nephew of Punjab Chief Minister Prakash Singh Badal, joined the Congress party on Friday, merging his outfit, the People's Party of Punjab, with the Congress. The decision for the merger came after a meeting between Manpreet Badal and Rahul Gandhi. Here's more.
PPP of Punjab, under the leadership of Mr. Manpreet Badal, has today merged with Indian National Congress.
Flanked by Manpreet Badal, PCC President Captain Amrinder Singh and other senior leaders from the state, Congress General Secretary Shakil Ahmed announced the merger of People's Party of Punjab with Congress on Friday.
With just a year to go for the assembly polls in the state, this is Congress's attempt to widen its reach and base.
Now we are all one and we start our campaign off on a good start. दूसरी पार्टी से भी हम बातचीत करेंगे and I hope we will be able to forge some sort of a strong alliance in this coming election.
Manpreet Badal, on the other hand, said the merger has come without any preconditions.
How will you turn around Punjab? That was an agenda which was sacrosanct, and that agenda was discussed threadbare with all the senior leaders sitting on my right and left, including the Vice President of Indian National Congress. Unko memorandum diya. It was an 11-point memorandum, and the Congress party has accepted all those 11 points.
The ruling Shiromani Akali Dal in Punjab, however, dismissed the developments as insignificant, saying it won't have any effect on the politics of the state.
So कांग्रेस में जिसमें आज जो ये गया, इसमें भी इसका कुछ भी होने वाला नहीं है. अकाली दल को फर्क ना पहले पड़ा, ना आगे कुछ पड़ेगा.
Manpreet Badal, who became the youngest finance minister of Punjab during Shiromani Akali Dal's previous term, had formed a separate political outfit after a bitter fallout with his uncle Prakash Singh Badal and cousin Sukhbir Badal. PPP secured 5% votes in the last assembly elections, which saw Congress securing just 0.8% votes, less than Shiromani Akali Dal. Vishal Dahiya, Rajya Sabha TV, Delhi.
Well, moving on to the latest on the Arunachal Pradesh crisis. Now, the Supreme Court on Friday started examining constitutional schemes on the scope of discretionary powers of the governor. Senior advocate Kapil Sibal questioned the governor's power to convene the assembly session without the advice of the government. Sibal is representing Nabam Rebia, who was removed as speaker by the rebel Congress and BJP MLAs in an assembly session held at a community hall in Itanagar on December 16th. During the hearing, the court asked several questions on the discretionary powers of the state governor. It held that the governor can always take certain decisions that can be questioned only in a court of law, but can't be objected to by the state government. In other news now, the Delhi government's odd-even scheme ended on Friday. Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal thanked the people for its success. The government will now hold a review meeting on Monday to evaluate the impact of the trial on the pollution levels in Delhi. They will also deliberate whether to continue with the scheme or not. However, the question still remains whether the scheme has really cut down pollution levels in the national capital.
पहली बार दिल्ली में आम आदमी पार्टी की सरकार ने लोगों को साथ लेके इतना कठोर नियम लागू किया और उसके बावजूद लोगों ने उसको साथ दिया, लोगों ने पूरी तरह से उसको फॉलो किया. इतना कठोर नियम था. तो इसका मतलब हमारे देश के लोग बहुत अच्छे हैं. दिल्ली के लोग जबरदस्त लोग हैं.
Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal applauding Delhiites and the authorities for the success of the odd-even scheme for vehicle rationing. He said the scheme shows Delhi can match world-class cities like Singapore in its discipline and systems. The Delhi government will next hold a review meeting on Monday to discuss whether to take the odd-even scheme to the next level. The government may adopt the scheme on more permanent basis after analysis and fixes to improve an inadequate public transport system.
सोमवार को 3 बजे सभी डिपार्टमेंट्स जो इसमें शामिल थे उनके साथ एक असेसमेंट मीटिंग रखी जाएगी. व्हाट आर द लेसन्स लर्नड, और अब जब हम आगे शुरू करेंगे जब भी तो उसमें हमें क्या क्या तैयारियां और करने की ज़रूरत है, उसके लिए असेसमेंट मीटिंग मंडे को है.
However, the question still remains whether the odd-even scheme has really brought down the pollution level in Delhi. According to reports, the air quality levels remained very unhealthy on Friday. The state-run system of air quality weather forecasting and research showed levels of particulate matter less than 2.5 micrometers, hovering between very poor and severe during the trial period, well above the WHO safe limit. However, the government remains optimistic, claiming vehicular pollution levels have come down.
इस पूरे ऑड इवन के दौरान जहां पर सबसे खतरनाक रीडिंग की बात की जा रही है, तो एवरेज जो आउटर जो हमारे सेंटर्स हैं, परमानेंट सेंटर हैं, वहां पर भी 400 प्लस रीडिंग रही है. अगर ऑड इवन नहीं होता तो 400 की जगह जनवरी के महीने में भी जिस तरह से विपरीत वेदर था, 600 पर PM 2.5 भी होता.
The Delhi government's odd-even scheme was implemented from January 1st after reports that pollution levels in Delhi stood at more than 10 times the safe limits prescribed by WHO. Under the scheme, private cars with even and odd number plates were only allowed on alternate days. A fine of 2,000 rupees were imposed on people who violated the rule. Delhi will now see both odd and even number cars on roads from Saturday. But the Chief Minister urged people to continue with their mission to curb pollution levels in Delhi by doing more carpooling and using public transport more often to at least reduce traffic congestion and pollution levels. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, let's now also listen in to what the people of Delhi had to say about their odd-even experience.
Odd even it was very nice. In fact, hardly I drive in one day in a week, but due to the odd even number, I was driving for 3 days in a week. It was very nice. In fact, हम चाहेंगे कि इसको जरूर कंटिन्यू किया जाना चाहिए.
मतलब इफ यू टॉक अबाउट पॉल्यूशन तो ठीक है, उतना कोई खास फर्क नहीं है, बट इफ यू टॉक अबाउट भीड़ और इससे इट इज रियली गुड.
सर ट्रैफिक तो कम हुआ है, लेकिन थोड़ा परेशानी तो है ही ना, क्योंकि जो है घर में हर किसी के जरूरी नहीं कि दोनों नंबर ही गाड़ी हो और आपस में हर जगह एडजस्टमेंट हो नहीं पाता है.
अच्छा एक्सपीरियंस रहा. काफी मेरे को पोल्यूशन भी कम नजर आया और ट्रैफिक भी कम नजर आया और मुझे लगता है कि शायद लोगों को इतनी प्रॉब्लम नहीं हुई. मेरा एक ओपिनियन है कि हाँ, महीने में 15 दिन कर सकते हैं और 15 दिन शायद फ्री रख सकते हैं.
Well, moving on now, the Bihar police arrested a Naxal commander and recovered arms during a combing operation in Gaya district yesterday. An AK-56 rifle and 102 live cartridges were recovered from him. Meanwhile, in Chhattisgarh, 30 Maoists, including women, surrendered before police in the Bastar district. 3 of them carried a reward of 8 lakh rupees for their arrest. The Naxal movement has diminished considerably in the area after the death of their commander in December last year. The surrendered ultras will be given 10,000 rupees each and can avail other government schemes. Meanwhile, the Supreme Court yesterday said that it was contemplating on a law on passive euthanasia. The court sought a categorical answer from the government on whether the life support of a brain-dead patient who has no hopes of revival can be withdrawn. Additional Solicitor General P.S. Patwalia told a 5-judge constitution bench that the government was studying the apex court's verdict on the Aruna Shanbog case. Indian law doesn't permit either active or passive euthanasia, but the Supreme Court in 2011 ruled that life support can be withdrawn on recommendation of a doctor's panel. Passive euthanasia is allowed in many states in the United States, Germany, Japan, Switzerland and Albania. Well, let's take a look now at the news and events lined up for today in our segment, The Day Ahead. A BJP delegation is likely to meet President Pranab Mukherjee over the incident of violence in Malda, West Bengal. The delegation of 3 MPs and General Secretary Kailash Vijaywargiya has already met Home Minister Rajnath Singh and sought a high-level probe into the case. Human Resource Development Minister is on a 2-day visit to Amethi. She will hold talks with party activists ahead of the 2017 assembly polls in Uttar Pradesh. Irani lost the last Lok Sabha election from Amethi but says that she will continue efforts to nurture the constituency. India and France will hold joint military training at the Mahajan Field Firing Ranges in Rajasthan's Bikaner. The exercise comes a week ahead of French President François Hollande's visit to India. Hollande is coming to India as the chief guest at the Republic Day parade. Well, it's time for another short break on the program, but much more lined up on the other side. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
I am extremely happy that I got the opportunity to go into science and help the world produce more food. There is no doubt that for the future generations, science is the best career. Giving the opportunity to the younger scientists and inspiring them is the most important for the future development of our science.
Watch Eureka with Dr. Gurdev Ghosh, renowned geneticist, on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha television. Well, heavily armed gunmen attacked a hotel in Ouagadougou, the capital of Burkina Faso. Latest reports said that at least 20 people have been killed and nearly a dozen injured. A number of people have been taken hostage. The gun battle between security forces and the militants is still on as we speak. CNN reports that security forces have managed to rescue 8 hostages. According to eyewitness accounts, 2 car bombs went off outside the Splendid Hotel, used mostly by the UN staff and European tourists. 3 to 4 masked men then stormed inside the hotel, opening fire. News reports also say that before entering the hotel, the militants fired at a coffee shop nearby and gunned down several people. Al-Qaeda claimed responsibility for the attack. Meanwhile, Turkey continues to be volatile. Just a day after Kurdish militants attacked a police station and killed 5 people, the Turkish security forces gunned down at least 19 militants of the PKK. An army statement said 12 militants were killed in the southeastern town of Cizre, 5 in Silopi, while 2 others were gunned down in Diyarbakir Surz district. Violence in Turkey's mainly Kurdish southeast escalated after a 2-year ceasefire collapsed in July. On Friday, explosions could be heard echoing around the heavily damaged town of Cizre near the Iraqi border, where bombing has continued for nearly a month. 1 woman is reported to have been wounded in Friday's clashes. Well, a French clinical trial went horribly wrong when 1 person was left brain dead and 5 others in a critical condition. At least 90 people were administered the experimental drug. Hospital officials refuted claims that it was a cannabis-based drug. Here's more.
In one of the worst clinical trials in France, 1 person was left brain dead and 5 others in a critical condition after being administered an experimental painkiller. The drug was made by Portuguese company Bayer and its trial was conducted by a private laboratory in Rennes. The French Health Ministry said the 6 male patients aged 28 to 49 were in good health until they took the oral medication.
Un accident d'une exceptionnelle gravité s'est produit dans le cadre d'un essai clinique de phase 1 réalisé à Rennes. 6 personnes ont été hospitalisées dans ce CHU depuis dimanche dernier.
Initial reports claimed the drug was a cannabis-based painkiller, but the health minister denied it later.
Ce médicament ne contient pas de cannabis. Il n'est pas davantage un produit ou un médicament dérivé du cannabis.
Of the 5 men battling for life at a hospital, 3 could have permanent brain damage, while the 4th one may suffer irreversible neurological problems. The hospital says there is no known antidote to the drug.
Les autres patients, leur tableau s'est aggravé sur les premiers jours de cette semaine. Et aujourd'hui, on peut dire que 4 des 5 autres patients ont des troubles neurologiques.
Calling it an unprecedented accident, the health minister has pledged to get into the depth of the matter.
Ils sont effondrés, nous ferons en sorte que toutes les réponses leur soient apportées, d'autant plus que, à l'instant où je m'exprime devant vous, je n'ai connaissance d'aucun événement comparable.
As many as 90 people took part in the trial conducted by French-based company BioTrial, which has an international reputation and carried out thousands of trials worldwide since 1989. The incident is one of the worst in French medical history and comes just months ahead of the new European Union regulations on clinical drug trials due to take effect in May. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, let's now get you a roundup of the other international news in our World Wrap. Sri Lankan Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe says his government is ready to devolve power to minority Tamils under the new constitution. He also pledged to bring to justice all perpetrators of war crimes committed towards the end of the country's civil war. The island country is drafting a new constitution aimed at resolving the ethnic conflict. Dozens of US Coast Guard aircrafts and vessels are looking for survivors after two marine helicopters carrying 12 people collided near the island of Oahu in Hawaii. The Coast Guards learned about the collision after civilians reported seeing a fireball in the sky over Hawaii. The US said Iran's progress to implement the international agreement to curtail its nuclear program must be independently verified. White House spokesperson John Earnest confirmed that Iran would not receive sanctions relief until the International Atomic Energy Agency confirms its compliance with the agreement. The United Nations on Friday confirmed cases of severe malnutrition among children in Syria's Madaya town, calling it a grave violation of international law. While two convoys of aid supplies were delivered this week to the town of 42,000 under a months-long blockade, a mobile clinic and medical team has been dispatched by the World Health Organization. Local relief workers have reported 32 starvation deaths in the past month. Well, moving on to some sports news now. Rohit Sharma's second successive century went in vain as Australia's collective batting effort helped them to a 7-wicket victory in the second ODI at Brisbane. Chasing a record 309 at the Gabba, Aaron Finch, Sean Marsh and George Bailey hit brisk 50s as the hosts reached the target comfortably with an over to spare. The previous highest chase at the Gabba was 301 when Australia beat England in 2014. The Indian bowlers were disappointing once again as India failed to defend a 300-plus score in a second consecutive match. Earlier, Rohit Sharma hit his 10th ODI ton, the second in this series. Sharma hit 11 fours and 3 sixes before being run out for 124. Ajinkya Rahane and Virat Kohli also contributed with half-centuries to help the team reach a total of 308 for 8. Rohit Sharma was adjudged the man of the match for his effort. With the win, Australia now lead the 5-match series 2-0.
Team, you have to win irrespective of which department is not doing well. For that, I think we'll have to score 20 to 30 more runs. And I've said, that will put a lot of pressure on the batsman because the moment you take your guard right from the first ball, on your back of your mind, you'll be like, we have to go 330 or 340 odd runs, to be on the safer side. And that will definitely put a lot of pressure.
Meanwhile, Sania Mirza and Martina Hingis extended their splendid winning run to 30 matches as they lifted the Sydney International Women's Doubles title. The world number 1 pair defeated the French pair of Caroline Garcia and Kristina Mladenovic 1-6, 7-5, 10-5. The world number 1 team trailed 1-6, 1-4 at one stage but came back to level the second set at 5-all and then sealed it to stretch it to a super tiebreaker. It was the 11th title together for the Indo-Swiss pair as they continued their good show from 2015 when they won 9 titles including the year-end WTA finals. The year 2016 has also started on a fabulous note for the duo. This was their second trophy of the year after they won the Brisbane International last week. Well, that's it on this edition of the Breakfast News. Have a good day.